Hey guys, today I have here a 2014 model of the Maserati Quattroporte. I've been driving this car around for a couple of days and I'll be honest with you, I'm really struggling to be able to convey to you the value of this car over here because it's always going to be compared to the likes of the BMW 7 Series and the brilliant Mercedes S-Class. But then I realized I've been looking at this the wrong way. There is something really special about the Maserati Quattroporte that those other cars in the segment do not have. In fact, I think it's one of its kind in the segment only. And I intend to prove this to you in this review of Thomas Drives. In this episode, I will be stroking the Maserati, I will drink some coffee, and I review the Maserati Quattroporte S. Now if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any episodes in the future. And with that, enjoy this episode of Thomas Drives. Now, Italian names sounds amazing, isn't it? Maserati, Quattroporte, Ghibli, you know. But, as sophisticated as it sounds, sometimes it means something far more basic. Take this for example, I made an espresso, which is the Italian name, and I put some water in it. So now it's Americano. So what is Americano? American, because that's how Americans drink coffee, in their opinion, okay? And a pasta, spaghetti al puttanesca. You know, it's a well-known spaghetti sauce. But what it actually translates to, putta means, those of you who know Italian is a bad word. And in some references, it's whore. And why is it called that? Because some people put anchovies in it so it smells bad. I don't know, I read this on the internet. Or maybe because it was invented in a whorehouse. That's why it's called spaghetti al puttanesca. So let's come back to the point today. The Quattroporte. So what does Quattroporte mean? It actually means 4 doors. Pretty sophisticated, isn't it? Look at me! Maserati 4 doors, Quattroporte! I bet the Italians have a lot of fun naming this and seeing how the non-Italians react to the names. Because it is a nice sounding name, but it just means 4 door. There's a bit of lackluster with that. Okay, I'm gonna finish this coffee and let's go for a drive. So let's talk about what makes this car so unique. Let's start with the thing that's underneath the hood. And in case you don't know what's underneath the hood, it's the engine. Wow! The V6 specifically you find in the base spec and the S spec of the Quattroporte is designed by Maserati, but it's actually assembled by Ferrari in the Modena plant in Italy. So what does it mean? The specifications of the engine has to meet Ferrari specifications. So somewhat rather, there is a lot of Ferrari breathing in this engine over here. And boy oh boy, let me tell you something, it shows up in the drive itself. This one over here is actually the S spec. It has 410 horsepower and 550 Newton meters of torque. Now there's a lot of performance compared to the other cars in the segment over here. And it's not only just the way, the numbers, but it's the way it actually feels when you drive it. It actually feels rapid, okay? I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? So let's talk about what other things that make this car really unique. Let's start with the looks of it, the front. Now, let me attempt to explain to you in a scene. Let's say you arrive in a hotel lobby, you're being chauffeured or you're driving this car over here. Compared to the 7 Series and the S-Class, you're going to be noticed because this sort of screams some attention, isn't it? That trident in front over there. And the way the hood is designed is going down low. It actually emulates a bit of the Grand Cabrio and also the brilliant Gran Turismo from Maserati, the sports car, the GTs of the Maserati brand. And the side as well, it hints to you there's a little bit naughty with these vents over here. Don't find that in a Mercedes or a 7 Series. So that is really, really cool. Now the side profile is a bit normal, but if you ask me, it does bring the heritage of the last few generations of the Quattroporte. A bit of a classical look on it. And all I want to say is that this car is a bit of like a suit. You know, if you think of it like this, when you come in a 7 Series, you know, you arrive in a, in a blue business suit, with a blue necktie, right? Really nice. If you think of an S-Class, you arrive in a black suit, black necktie, really classy. But if you arrive in the Maserati Quattroporte, you're still wearing a suit, but a little piece of the suit that really stands out, like a pink color shirt or a flowery pocket square. And that's what this car is all about. You know, you will be noticed in this car over here. And that's what I think really is special about this car's exterior. And when you leave the lobby, when you leave the hotel, you will be noticed as well, because the engine and exhaust does sound unique, even at its base spec and the Quattroporte aspect as well. Take a look at this sound. Look, you're bound to be noticed if a car that sounds like that, okay? And there's something really special about this car. When you exit the car, I mean, look at that. You've got frameless doors over here. Can't get that from a 7 Series or S-Class, right? Feels really good. Yeah. So those are the few things that makes this Maserati unique already by its external appearances. Welcome to the interior of the Maserati Quattroporte, which I think is a pretty nice place to be. It's very unique. So let's start off with the trim over here, which I particularly love. So this is the wooden trim, which you can spec as an option on the Maserati Quattroporte. I believe this is walnut, and then this makes this car look way more elevated. And it extends not only from the from the front and the side, but also to the center console. And I also like how the little bits and pieces of center console opens and close, because it looks really luxurious, isn't it? Wow. Okay, and I do really like the analog clock over here as well. I think it really elevates the look, and it does frankly make this car feel more classic Italian, okay, in the modern style. So let's talk about the pink elephant in this room over here, which is the infotainment system. Now, first of all, it's the less obvious thing that makes it less beautiful is the aluminium trim, which I think doesn't really match with the whole theme of the car. But the other thing I don't like about it is the graphics on this this infotainment system. And how should I put it? It's a bit Japanese-y. Now, I'm sorry to my Japanese car lover friends, but it just doesn't feel, luxurious. In fact, it feels like they plug it up from one of those Chrysler or models or something, because they're under the Fiat Chrysler group, and they just put it over here. I think they didn't really put some thought into how the interior system would match up with the theme of the car. Granted, it's quite easy to use. The navigation, the phone settings, and Bluetooth, very easy to use, but it's just not that nice. But other than that, most of the consoles are pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward. The aircon and stuff like that, pretty easy to use. I appreciate that it's in button form versus a digital form over here. Now, so that's the center console, which I think is a bit of a turn off with such a nice theme interior. Now, the other thing I really like about this car is not just the steering wheel, okay, but which I think is pretty okay, it's normal, but I like the pedals over here. Now, these pedals feel really solid, and this is where I think it really shines, right? It feels nice and solid, not some plasticky bits. It's actually real aluminium, and when you pull it, the trigger action feels firm, feels confident, right? And it's designed in such a way, let me show you, that it's on the top part of it. See, the most F1 shifter pedals goes up, right? Because you don't want the one on the bottom, because you might hit it on your knees, right? But it's all on top over here. Now, the other thing is that it doesn't move the steering wheel. See that? Okay, where a lot of modern cars with the pedal shifters move the steering wheel, this is how it's supposed to be like. This is, classical, Ferrari flair, and Maserati keeps it in this car over here. I love it. I love it, and it feels so nice. It makes you want to pull the pedal a bit more. Okay, so again, I think this is important things. This tactile feeling makes you want to use the pedal shifters. And I'm driving this car for a couple of days. I've been using a lot of the pedal shifters. I love it. Love the way it feels. Talking about the seats are not the most comfortable, but it's comfortable enough. It's more on the firm side, okay, and that's in the front. And the rear seats, of course, it being a limousine, is huge, okay, so you can stretch your leg, you can lie down, you can do whatever you like, but it just doesn't have like what the S-Class can do, where you can lie down flat, okay. But other than that, it is what it is. It's a limousine. It's a sporty limousine, right? So enough talking about the interior. Let's go and find out how this car drives. So what's it like to drive the Maserati? This car has a lot of power. So first impressions of the engine on the highway, the engine is brilliant. And it's not just the numbers it suggests on the spec sheet, it's the way it delivers the power. With its turbocharging, a lot of the power actually comes in at the high end of the rev range. Unlike the modern turbochargers that aims to reduce turbo lag, this one has some turbo lag, but you appreciate it because it's different, it's a bit naughty, and it makes you want to put your foot down. Oh my god. It delivers performance like a sports car, and that's what I'm trying to say. Whereas other limousines, right, of the segment, it aims to give you something that is more sorted. This one, no, it wants to be naughty. Now, the other thing I really like about this car that allows you to drive fast and naughty, okay, a bit more like a sports car and less like a limousine, is the brakes. The brakes are brilliant. The bite is great and it's modular. You can actually feel the brakes. It gives you a lot of confidence to drive fast in this car over here. Which makes me now really think that is Maserati Quattroporte more of a 4-door GT than actually a limousine? You know, so you can take this on a long drive, still make you, give you smiles and giggles and have fun, but at the same time it can somewhat give you some sort of comfort along the way. This car definitely has it, definitely has that. So it's a bit more like a GT. Now the other thing I really like about this car is the steering. It's the feedback and the feel. I can place this car in corners in inches of where I want the car to be, which is another magnificent part of this car. It makes you feel like you can drive this car fast. But there's a problem over here now, is that when taking your corners, you feel the weight. The car is heavy. This is where I kind of struggle with this whole luxury super sedan model for Maserati. But there's one thing I'll give a lot of brownie points to Maserati is the way it handles when you're driving it fast. See, it will not handle better, say, than a Porsche Panamera. That's for sure. The Panamera handles better. This car is a little bit more of a handful to handle. But that's the exciting part of driving a car, isn't it? That you have to wrestle the car into control. And this car is what I think a very classic setup. Front engine, rear wheel drive. All the 410 horsepower and the 550 Newton meters of torque go into the rear wheel drive. So as a result, what do you get? You get a very naughty rear end, but one that is somewhat predictable. I mean, to drift, or I've been driving this around a little bit, and I find myself in certain corners, exiting out of the corners, my car starts to drift a little bit. And it's not a scary kind of drift, it's actually somewhat entertaining actually. To think you have a 2-ton car and you're drifting it about. Wow, I mean, that's exciting. Okay. So now that we've reached a traffic jam, and I think this is where you can somewhat start to appreciate, Maserati in the city life. When you're in the traffic and you want to cool down, there's no comfort mode in Maserati. You see, and this is the thing that Maserati is committed to. They are first committed to the performance, the sportiness, and then the sedan, and then the luxury. Okay, to the point where they don't even have a comfort mode. And this is what I like about the Maserati Quattroporte. They are honest. Okay, they don't try to be something that they are not. Because if you want comfort, go to the Germans, right? Go to the 7 Series, S-Class and stuff. I know I keep repeatedly say those because those are the benchmark of this category. So Maserati, rather than trying to compete with them in the segment of comfort and luxury, they don't use the word comfort. They have something called the ICE, called ICE. So this is what we call the increased control and efficiency mode. Now what it does is that it keeps the valves closed unless you rev it all the way beyond 5,000 RPM. So the car is in result quieter. It puts you in second gear rather than first gear, so the car is less torquey. And this is rather important when you're in the wet, because remember you have 410 horsepower and 450 newton meters of torque on the rear wheel, so it's easy to spin the car when the road conditions aren't well. So the ICE, the control, the increased control, gives you more peace of mind. Okay. So to sum up the driving experience of this car, the Maserati Quattroporte has something that the other cars of the segment don't have. You know, of course, if you try to compare its comfort level to those, it's nowhere near to the comfort levels of an S-Class and 7 Series. I won't even begin to pretend to you that it's actually there, right? And in terms of luxury, it is not as luxurious as those cars in the segment as well. But it has one thing that makes this car extremely unique. It's its naughtiness of the car. Now let me explain that to you. Now the 7 Series is a pretty good handling, car of its segment as well. And the S-Class is not a slouch as well. In fact, the Panamera is probably the best handling car of this segment over here. And if you want to bring in the British cousins like the Aston Martin Rapide, now the back space is a little bit small, but it's 4 doors. Okay, that car handles pretty well as well. But this car has a naughtiness that you want to exploit, and it rewards you for being naughty. When you're coming up from the corner, putting the foot down and pulling the car back in place, that is something that rewards you in this specific car over here. Whereas those other cars, it can do that, but it doesn't make you giggle like a little kid. This car you want to. That's what makes this car so darn special. And I think compared to any of the other cars in this segment, this is one of the cars I would say that if I own one, I'll be looking forward to drive this. Whereas those other cars in the segment, it is a car of luxury, full stop. This one, you want to drive it. You want to get behind the wheels, and you can't wait for the next time you're going to do stupid slides and scrubbing your tires on the floor. And that's why this 3-pointed trident is so amazing. Before we end this review, just want to give a quick shout out to Bespoke Motoring. They are a premium used car dealer with a wide range of exotic sports cars and luxury selection. Now, the link is in the description below if you want to find out more about them. Now, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and smash the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this in the future. Till then, keep it 100%. Love you guys. Peace out.